35a at the bottom, about to start the Gemara.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. So this Mishnah taught us that aside from using the name of Hashem, you could use what we call kinuyim. Kinuyim are like, we'll call them nicknames, but there are also other names that refer to Hashem that are also going to be valid when you use them as an oath. So now, so the Mishnah starts up. The Mishnah started off saying these words, Mashbini Aleichem, I impose upon you an oath, Mitzavani Aleichem, I command you, and Osarchem Ani, so, and I seem to forbid you. So says the Gemara, what does that mean? Mashbini Aleichem, Ma'i Kamar. What are you saying? Amar Rav Yehuda, Haki Kamar. This is what he means to say. He means to say, Mashbini Aleichem, B'shvua. I'm putting an oath of Mashbini Aleichem, I'm making you swear with an oath. That's one form of imposing an oath upon somebody. Alternatively, mitzavani aleichem b'tzavah ha'amura b'torah. I'm commanding you with a commandment that's written in the Torah. Another way to refer to an oath. And osarchem ani b'isser amur b'torah. And I'm making you prohibit yourself with the prohibition that's written in the Torah. In other words, a shvuah. So Amar le Abaye, Ela hadatani Reb Chia. But what about that which Reb Chia taught? Kobal chamani. I'm chaining you. So what does I'm going to chain you mean? How does that work? Hare'elu chayavin. That also seems to work according to the brisa of Rabbi Chia. Says Abaye though, Kobal baraisa miksiv. It doesn't say anything about chaining in the Torah. The first three cases, I'm making you swear, the swear that's written in the Torah, the commandment in the Torah, the prohibition in the Torah, that I understand. I'm going to chain you to something. There's no chaining in the Torah. What does that mean? Ela Amar Abai Haki Kamar. That's what it means to say. Mashbi'ani aleichem b'shvua. Mashbi'ani aleichem is a way of saying shvua. I'm making you swear with a swear. Mitzavani aleichem b'shvua. I'm commanding upon you with a swear. Osarchem ani b'shvua. I'm making you prohibit yourself with a shvua. So too, kobalchem ani b'shvua. I'm chaining you, making you chain yourself, making you restrict yourself. In which way? With the shvua. Okay. Next part of the Mishnah. It says that the Aleph Dalid, so the two letters of Hashem's name, Yud Hey, Shin Dalid Yud, well, Shakai, right? Referring to one of Hashem's names. B'tzivakos, legions, another name of Hashem. B'chanun, V'rachum, Erech Apayim. So merciful, graceful, slow to anger, Rav Chesed, abundant kindness. Those are all ways, those are all what we call kinuyim. And you can make someone swear in the name of Chanun, in the name of Rachum, in the name of Erech Apayim. And everyone knows that that's referring to Hashem. So says the Gemara, Lemeimer, is that to say the Chanun V'rachum are Shemos Nenu? Are you telling me that the Chanun V'rachum is an actual name of Hashem? Now, if it's going to be a name of Hashem, you can't erase it, right? So V'reminhi Yei Shemesh Nimchakim Yei Shemesh She'ein Nimchakin. Some names can be erased, and some names are not going to be erased. Elu Hein Shemos She'ein Nimchakin. These are the names that cannot be erased. Kigon. You got to be careful when you're writing a Sefer Torah. You got to write it correctly because you can't erase it. So, Kigon Aleph Lamed, or Elokecha, or Elokim, or Elokechem, or Ekya Asher Ekya, what Hashem told in Parsha Shmos, I will be with that I will be. Aleph Dalid, the Aleph and the Dalid, V'Yud Hey, and the Yud and the Hey, or Shin Dalid Yud Shakai, or Tzivakos. Okay. All of those are Hare'elu Nimchakin. Hare'elu Ein Nimchakin, sorry. These are all names that cannot be erased. These are really the names of Hashem. Aval, the following things which are references to Hashem, which everyone knows who you're talking about, so those can be erased. What are the examples of those? Hagadol, the great one. Hagibur, V'Hanora, we're saying Shemon Esrei. Ha'adir, the powerful one. V'Achazak, the strong one. V'Amitz, the very strong one. Ha'oz, another way to refer to strength. Chanun v'rachum erech apayim. So the graceful one and the merciful one and the one that's slow to anger. Virav chesed, and the one that's abundant to kindness. Those are all hara'elu nimchakin. If you mess up on those, you could erase them. I write them down, you could erase them. So what do you see? It sounds like they're not names of Hashem, and yet our Mishnah says that when it comes to making a Shavuot, making an oath, you can use those names, which implies that they are the names of Hashem. So which one is it? Amar Abaye, Masnisin b'mishu chanun. The Mishnah, when it said you can use chanun, it's because everyone knows that when you say chanun, the one who's merciful, the one who's graceful, everyone knows who you're talking about. Everyone knows you're referring to Hashem. So that's why that's going to work. Really, you're right. You could erase the name chanun. It's true. However, when you make an oath in the name of the merciful one, the graceful one, everyone knows who you're talking about. Turning the page. B'mishahu rachum, the one who's very compassionate. Who are you talking about? Obviously, you're talking about Hashem. So you're not referring to the name of God. His name is Chanun. It's a reference point. It's referring to him. Everyone knows that that's who's the ultimate merciful one, Hashem. So Amar le Rava, Ihachi. So why don't you say that Bashamayim va'aretz nami? When you swear in the name of heavens and earth, it's also referring to B'misha Shamayim va'aretz shelo. It's referring to the one who owns the heavens and the earth. Also referring to Hashem. Yet that does not work. Why not? Says the Gemara, Haki Hashra, are they similar at all? Hasam Kavan Deleka Media Chrini Dikri Rachum Chanun Vade B'mishu Chanun Vade B'mishu Chanun Vade Mishu Rachum Kamar. But Hacha Kavan Dika Shemayim V'aretz B'Shemayim V'aretz Kamar B'Shemayim V'aretz Kamar. Says the Gemara, when you refer to a God as either the merciful one or the compassionate one, so there's nobody else who is compassionate and merciful like that. Who's the merciful one? Who's the compassionate one? So then you obviously know who you're referring to, meaning there's nothing that's itself compassionate. It's not a being. It's not a thing. It's a reference to someone who is the most compassionate, the most merciful. When you say heavens and earth, well, heavens and earth it's a noun. It does exist. And I guess compassion is more of a verb. It's more of an adjective. Shemayim Aretz is a thing. It's a heaven and earth. So who says when you say, I swear to you in the names of heaven and earth, that you're referring to one who created the heaven and earth? Maybe you're referring to the heaven and earth itself. But Chanun V'rachum is not a thing itself. It's a reference to the one who is compassionate. Therefore, Chanun V'rachum will work to make a Shavuot, but Shemayim Aretz will not work to make a Shavuot. Okay. Now, basically, most of the next 23 lines are very interesting laws about the name of Hashem. So, Kasav Aleph Lamed Me'elokim. So now, you wrote 2 out of the letters of God's name. Now, it happens to be those 2 letters are also God's name. So you write an Aleph and a Lamed from the name Elokim. Or you write a Yud Hey from the name Yud Hey Vavet. Or, so Harei Ze'ein Nimchak. Even if you want to write Elokim, or you want to write Yud Kei Vav Kei, and you only wrote the first 2 letters, you cannot erase it. Eino Nimchak. However, Shin Dalid Me Shakai, Aleph Dalid from the other name of Hashem, or Tzadi Beis from Tzivakos, Harei Ze Nimchak. Shin Dalid is not in and of itself a name of Hashem. Aleph Dalid is also in itself not a name of Hashem. Therefore, you could erase it because you haven't completed the name. It doesn't have sanctity right now. Rabbi Yossi Omer Tzivakos Kulu Nimchak. That name, I don't know how they translate in English. Legions, Tzivakos. Okay. So the name Tzivakos. Rabbi Yossi says you could erase it. He does not hold that name to be have sanctity. Shalom Nikra Tzivakos El Al Shem Yisrael. Hashem's always referring to Tzivakos when that name's always used in reference to the God of Israel. Shenemar v'hotzesi es Tzivakos es Tzivosi es Ami b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. It's referring to the Jewish people. That name is really a reference to the Jewish people, not to necessarily to Hashem. And therefore, if you write it down, you are able to erase it. Amar Shmuel, Ein halacha Rabbi Yossi. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yossi. Similarly, there are other places that the name is referring to the name of Hashem, and therefore we have to be stringent that if you write it down, you would not be able to erase it. Taner Rabbanan, Kol HaTafel Hashem. You're going to have prefixes and suffixes by the name of God, right? Elokeinu. The new is not part of God's name, right? So, or Ba Hashem, La Hashem, Me Hashem, all those are also not part of God's name, but they're attached. So, Tafel is always like secondary, right? It's not the name itself; it's attached to the name. Kol HaTafel Hashem bein milachalo bein milachorav. It doesn't matter if it's a prefix or a suffix. Harei ze nimchak. You can erase the prefix or you can erase the suffix. Lefan of Ketzah. What's example of the prefix is La Hashem, Lamed Nimchak. Erase the Lamed. Va Hashem Beis Nimchak. Erase the Beis. Va Hashem Vav Nimchak. Me Hashem Mem Nimchak. Erase the Vav. Erase the Mem. She Hashem Shin Nimchak. Erase the Shin. So Ha Hashem Hey Nimchak. The Hey gets erased. I guess we didn't get the point the first 6 examples. Yeah. So Ka Hashem Chav Nimchak. So that's all the prefixes. What about the suffixes? Le'acharav Ketzad Elokeinu. So the new is Nimchak. Elokehem, the hem, referring to them, Nimchak. Elokechem, referring to you, I think, is the chem is Nimchak. So that is that opinion, that the suffixes also can be erased. Acherim Omrim, others say, Li'achorav Eno Nimchak. No. The suffixes, you can't erase them. Why? Because it's interesting. Once you already wrote the name of Hashem, there's already sanctity there. So now whatever's going to follow it is going to take on that sanctity also. Therefore, Li'achorav Eno Nimchak. You cannot erase even the suffix. Very interesting. Shekvar Kitchuas Hashem. The name has already been sanctified. That word is now a holy word. Now, it's interesting because once you wrote down the word, you could have thought that the prefix also retains sanctity. You could have thought that once it's holy, whatever's attached to it is gonna get sanctity also, but we don't say that. Only the suffix we say, the prefix we don't say. Shekvar Kitchuas. What is that?
Because you haven't got there yet.
You haven't got there?
For the prefix.
But now that you wrote it, we don't go back and say that's also sanctity. Yeah. So Amar Rav Huna halacha ke'acherim. The halacha is like the acherim, which say that you are not allowed to erase the suffix. So, yeah. Okay, now we're going to go through a little bit of a journey through Tanakh. So let's see. Kol Shemos, all the names, Hamurim B'Torah, I skipped. Well, parentheses. Avram, Dlatil, Levos, Begivos, Benjamin, Shlomo, Daniel, Simon. Yeah. So Kol Shemos Hamurim B'Torah, all the names that are in the Torah. But Avraham, when he's referring to Hashem, we're going to see it's referring to when he's talking to the angels. When one of the first stories, when the 3 angels came to him. So he says the name Aleph Daled Nun Yud. So now the Gemara is saying whenever he refers to Hashem, they're all Kodesh, they're all they're all names of sanctity. Chutz mizet, but in this case, he wasn't referring to Hashem, he's referring to the angel. So Shuchal Shenemar Vayomer, okay, now they have to add this in. Vayomer Aleph Daled Nun Yud. So right now it says, when he says the word Ado, it's not referring to Hashem, it's referring to the angel. That's what the Gemara first understands. Therefore, it's considered, it's not holy, it's just a way to say master. It's like when the Torah uses the word Elohim as referring to a judge and not as referring to God. He says, if I find favor in your eyes, so now, so that's according to the first opinion, which is definitely not the way anybody's taught. We always learn that that's referring to Hashem, like the next opinion. Chanina ben Achi and Rabbi Shua. Chanina ben Achi, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Mishum Rabbi Elazar, Hamodai Amru. So they all say, no, Avzeh Kodesh. They all say that's referring to the Shechina. It's a holy name. What he's saying is, wait for me a second. Hashem came to greet him, right? He was sick. Hashem came to do Bikur Cholim, so to speak. He was busy in the sick. And Avram Avinu says, well, just 1 second. Can you wait for me 1 second? I have to greet my guests. So that's what we're always taught. So that's when he says that, Vayomer, it's referring to the master, it's referring to Hashem. Who is that opinion going like? Kiman Azla, Hadam Rabbi Yehuda Marav, Gedola Haknas Orcham, greater. I don't know what greater means, but there's an aspect that welcoming your guest is greater. Yoser Mahakabalas Paneshkin is even greater than receiving Hashem's presence. Kiman Kiosozuk, that's going like that opinion that holds that it's actually referring to a holy name. Yeah. Okay. That pasuk was more familiar to us, and the next ones are, at least to me, a little less familiar. So, Kol Shemas Hamurim Belot. So now we're moving through Bereshis. When it comes to Lot, and he's referring to names that seemingly could have an implication of Hashem's name also, they're all not sanctified. They're all mundane, meaning they're all referring to not Hashem, except for one. Chutz Mizeh Shu Kadosh. This one is holy. Vayomer Lot. So Lot is saying, Vayomer Lot Alehem Alna. So Alna, and then he says Aleph Daled Nun Yud. Now how to translate the verse? Don't pass. Don't come. Don't break down my door.
Lot said to them, the angels, please do not Hashem. Now your servant is transgressing us.
Yeah. I think they're coming to break down his door, if I remember. So he says, Allah, please don't. He says, Adom, my master. So, and then he says, I found grace in your eyes. And then what we need is, Asher Asisa Imad. I'm just reading the end of the verse. The kindness you did to me. And then he says, Lahachayos es nafshi, that you kept me alive. And maybe now I can go escape to the mountains. So the point that we need is, the Gemara doesn't quote the end of the verse. The end of the verse is Lot saying, the one that kept me alive. Who's able to keep somebody alive? So when he says, my master, and then he continues talking about the one who can keep him alive, so who's that referring to? So the only one who can cause someone to live or to die is Hashem. So therefore, when he said that name, my master, he was referring to Hashem, as evident in the following verse, when he's referring to the one who can keep him alive. So, yeah. Okay, now we're off to Shoftim. To Navos, yeah. Kol Shemas Amurim ben Navos Kodesh. All the names regarding Navos are Kodesh, except for Kodesh. But B'micha, when it came to Micha, then they are Chol. Then they are mundane. So Rashi brings all the examples, the Beis Elokim, and then okay. Maybe the footnote brings all the examples. So Nevos is in Malachim and Micha is in Shoftim, Perik Yud Zayin. The different references he says of Hashem's name, but they are not holy. They are mundane. What? Referring to idols. Okay, good. Referring to idols. So b'micha, sorry. So not all of them. Sorry. Yeah. So the first one says b'micha chol. Rabbi Eliezer Omer no. B'nevos kodesh. That we agree. But b'micha it depends. Yesh man chol v'yesh man kodesh. Some are going to be mundane, referring to idols, and some will be referring to Hashem that are going to be holy. So Aleph Lamed Chol, when he uses the name Aleph Lamed, that's mundane. Yud Hey Kodesh, but when he uses the name the word Yud Hey, the name Yud Hey, that's Kodesh. Chutz Mizeh Aleph Lamed V'hu Kodesh, except for this one where it says Aleph Lamed, and yet it's referring to Hashem. What does it say? It says in Shoftim, Vayasimu lahem as Pesel Micha, Asher Asa Kol Yemei Hayoz Beis Elokim B'Shilo. So where's the Aleph Lamed? Or is this something else already? Is the next part? Aleph Lamed Chol Lo. Oh, it's okay. Shashisi Lakakti. Lo base. Oh, meaning there it says Aleph Lamed in the name Elokim. That's what it wants. Kol Meyos base, right? So base Elokim. There, the Aleph Lamed. There, he's referring to. Hashem in that verse. Okay. Fine. Kol Shemas Hamurim Begivas Binyamin. Okay, continuing in Shoftim. So all the names are referring to the valley of Binyamin. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Chol, they're mundane. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Kodesh. He says that they're holy. Amar Rabbi Eliezer v'chi maftiach ve'eni osa. So it's I think 2 times they wanted to. You said the names are holy, but it sounds like over there when they're using the holy names, which I hold is mundane, that they went and they asked for help if they should fight or not, and it sounds like the one they were asking didn't come through with the promise. So to that, Rabbi Eliezer says, it can't be referring to Hashem because Hashem wouldn't promise and not follow through. That doesn't make sense. Therefore, their request if they should go fight or not, if they're going to win the battle that wasn't carried out, cannot be referring to Hashem. Rabbi Shua, what are you talking about? That which he promised, he did. So it says, V'heim lo bichnu. So the first time they went to him, Heim lo bichnu imlun tzoach. Imlun atzeach. The first time they went to them, I think it was a reference to Urim and Tumim, maybe. The first time they requested what they should do. Should they go up? Should they go up on the mountain? They didn't ask if they should, if they're going to win the war or not. That they never asked. So that you can't say, oh, he promised and he never kept the promise. No, they asked Hashem what to do, but it wasn't about winning. It was about going up to battle. The second time, the second time they went to him, they went to the Urim Tumim. The second time was the Urim Tumim, and the verse says that what Hashem promised, He's going to deliver the enemy into your hands. His schema al yadam. Shenemar, how do I know? It says with Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, shall we gather up and go out to battle in Bnei Binyamin with the people of Binyamin? Achi im echdal. And then the end of the verse says, Vayomer Hashem, Alu, you should go. Why? Ki machar etnenu biyadecha. Because later I will go and give them into your hand. So the second time they went and they wanted to know if they should go and win the war, Hashem promised them, you will win the war. Yeah. Okay. Now, Kol Shlomo ha'amurim b'shir hashirim. The name Shlomo, who also wrote Shir Hashirim, but when it says Shlomo in Shir Hashirim, so it's really referring to Hashem, not referring to Shlomo himself. Really, that's Kodesh. Yeah. So Kol Shlomo ha'amurim b'shir hashirim Kodesh. Shir lemi sheha shalom shalo. It Shlomo means it's a song to the one that peace is his. Who's the one that peace is his? Hashem. Chutz mizeh, except for this verse. Karmi shali, the vineyard's mine. Karmi shali fanai ha'elef lecha Shlomo. 1,000 vineyards go to you, Shlomo. So yeah. Elef lecha Shlomo umasayim lenotrim espirio. 1,000 vineyards go to Shlomo ledidei. He's referring to himself. He's getting 1,000 vineyards. It's not referring to Hashem. And 200 go to the garters of my fruit. Who is that? The Rabbanon, the rabbis. Okay. But there's another opinion, obviously, that argues. Even the following verse is also, it's going to say Shlomo, but it's not referring to Hashem. Shlomo, the bed that Shlomo has 60 warriors around it. Yeah, Israelite army men, 60 warriors around it. So is that Shlomo they're referring to Hashem, referring to Shlomo? It's referring to Shlomo. So says the Gemara, Af zeh, says even this velomi ba yeheyach, and not the other verse. The other verse we said is referring to Shlomo himself. It sounds like even this one, so like even this one and not that one. Ella had Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says the following: Malchusa diktala chad meshisa ba'alma lo mi'ansha. So it sounds like any kingdom, diktala chad mishisa, that goes and kills one out of every six, is what? Is not considered is not punished. Okay. How do I know? Shenemar karmi shali, it's my vineyard, lefanai ha'elef l'chashlomo, l'malchus derikia. Sounds like, I don't know exactly what the understanding is, but it's like metaphorical a little bit, that Hashem is speaking to himself, that he has the 1,000 vineyards. Umasayim lenotrias period, and 200 of them are the ones that guard my fruit. That is referring to the Malchusa Da'ara. So I know there's 1,200, so 200 goes to down here. 1,000 goes to Hashem. And okay, they're not going to get punished. Right, 1,200. Yeah. So, okay. So we see here that it's referring to, when it says 1,000 vineyards go to me, it's really referring to the celestial, the upstairs. They have 1,000 vineyards. But you see that it's referring to, that according to Shmuel, this is referring to something which is holy. The Shlomo here is holy. So Shmuel is lo Tanakama, v'lo kiyesh omrim. Tanakama says that the Tanakama said that that this Shlomo is really is mundane, and the other opinion said that the bed with 60 people is mundane, and this one is saying that no, it's referring to something which is holy. So lo Tanakama v'lo kiyesh omrim sounds like neither opinion. Ella hakamer. This is what it means to say. The v'yesh omrim, the second opinion earlier, was saying v'yesh omrim zeh kodesh v'zeh chol. That first one is referring to something which is kodesh, meaning when it's referring to the kingdom, 1,000 vineyards, that's actually holy. That's like Shmuel. V'zeh chol demitaso, and the one referring to the bed with 60 warriors, there the name Shlomo is mundane. V'Shmuel damar ki yesh omrim, and Shmuel goes like the yesh omrim. Okay. Okay, here you gotta help me a little bit. Yeah. Kol Malkaya Hamura b'Daniel. Anytime it says Malkaya, it's referring to Hashem, the king. The king in Daniel is mundane. Is referring to mundane, not referring to Hashem. Chutz mizeshu kadosh. Except for this, that it's holy, as the verse everyone knows, of course, Daniel, as it says, Anta Malka Melech Malkaya. So I'm the king of kings. The Alashmaya, I'm here in the heavens, Malchusa. Chisna v'takva v'yikar yahevlach. I'll give you a lot of strength and honor. Yeah, okay. V'yesh omrim. Yeah, v'yesh omrim av zeh kadosh. Even the not only is that verse, but even the following verse is holy. What's this? I think here he's talking to Nebuchadnezzar. And he's saying, Mori Chalma l'sonecha, that you're the master of the dreams. I guess they should be fulfilled on your enemy. Upshara la'arecha, and they should be interpreted la'arach. Sorry, upishrei la'arach. What's the arach?
Enemies.
Your enemies.
One is foes and one is enemies.
On your what?
On your foes and your enemies.
And your foes and your enemies. Okay. So Leman Kamer, who's he talking? Who's Daniel talking to? So Isaac Nebuchadnezzar Kamer. If he's talking to Nebuchadnezzar Kamerle. So who are Nebuchadnezzar's enemies? The Jews. So he wants the dreams to be fulfilled on the Jewish people. Doesn't make sense. So Neuse Ma'inin Hu Yisrael Milta Kalai Lehuli Yisrael. He's cursing the Jews. So can't be. Rather, it's referring to Hashem. The Tanakama Savar Sone Yisrael Ika Sone Ovdei Kochavim Leka. What does that mean? Right, meaning he says the enemies of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar could have had more than one enemy. So it's not necessarily referring to the Jewish people. It could be referring to non-Jewish people also. And he's just saying for them the dreams should be fulfilled.
Early case of inclusion.
What is that?
An early case of inclusion.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Now we said for all of these nicknames, So the Mishnah said all of these nicknames are valid ways to impose an oath upon somebody. Okay, let's see. Viraminhi, we have a brisa that seems to contradict it. Yitain Hashem Oschala Allah Vilashvua. So it says by Pasik's Parsha, by the Sota, that Hashem should put her in Allah and a Shvua. So what does it mean? A curse and an oath. Ma Talmud Lomar, what does it mean? V'lo kvar nemar v'yishbi HaKohen. As Isha had already told us that the Kohen's going to make the woman make a swear. B'shvua Allah. How do I know? If Isha nemar v'shamas kol Allah. It says you're going to hear the voice of the oath. Nemar kan Allah, v'nemar lahalan Allah. Just like it says all over here and all over there. Ma lahalan shvua, avkan shvua. Just like over there it says shvua. Over there is referring to our parsha of making oaths. So it says Allah over there. So it says all over there. What's it referring to? An oath. So to here it's also referring to an oath. So Mala Holland b'shem Avkan b'shem, just like it's referring to Hashem's name over there, it's referring to Hashem's name over here. So it sounds like you need to use Hashem's name to make an oath. Using the nicknames of Hashem's name is not going to work. Amar Abai lo kasha. It's not a the Mishnah and the Bryce. It's two different opinions, not a contradiction. Rabbi Chanina bar Idi, Rabbanan. The Tanya, as the Bryce states, Rabbi Chanina bar Idi, Omer Hol, Omer Torah, Hishbiya Val Tishba, Kilo Vatikalo. It says that you can make a swear and don't make a swear. On the curse and don't curse. Mahi Shava B'Shem, Af Losi Shava B'Shem. When you invoke an oath in the positive, you need to do it with Hashem's name. Af Losi Shava, even when you do it in the negative, it has to have Hashem's name too. Ma Kilo B'Shem, Af Lo Tikalo B'Shem. When you're cursing, you have to use God's name. So to Lo Tikalo B'Shem, I guess when you're saying that you should not be cursed, that's also referring to you will not have a curse of Hashem's name upon you if X, Y, and Z. That also needs Hashem's name. Fine. So he says you always need Hashem's name. Now, that's Rabbi Chanina. What about the Rabbanon? The Rabbanon, well, Ig Mirig Zeresh Shava, if they're learning Zeresh Shava from Sota to oaths in general, then you're going to need Nibai Shema Miyucha. You're going to have to use the special name of Hashem. Ilog Mirig Shema Yudkevavka, I believe. Ilog Mirig Zeresh Shava. If you don't learn Zeresh Shava, so then Allah de Shvua hi minalahu. How do you know that the word Allah is even referring to a Shvua? So says the Gemara, that's not hard. Nafka lahu midetanya. We learn from another brisa. Allah, it says Allah ain't Allah ela lashon Shvua. The word Allah is referring to a Shvua. How do I know? V'cheinu omer v'yishbiya HaKohen es ha'isha b'shvua ha'Allah. The Kohen makes the woman swear with the Shvua ha'Allah, the word ha'Allah, clearly referring to an oath. Says the Gemara, that's not a good proof because there it says Shvua ha'Allah. But what if the word Allah was by itself? Now it's not next to anything else. How do you know then it's referring to an oath? Which is our case by oaths. It says that the one who sinned, Vishama Kol Allah. He heard the voice of the voice of Allah. Yeah, the voice of Allah. And he's a witness, or he knows. Yes. So how do you know that Allah there is referring to an oath? So Hakikam, this is what it means to say. Allah ain't Allah ela b'shvua. Allah is referring to shvua. How do I know? V'cheinu omer v'yeshbiya HaKohen es ha'isha b'shvua ha'Allah. That when he makes the woman swear, he makes her swear with a shvua ha'Allah. Okay. Uminayin lasos Allah she'eni mashvua k'Allah she'esh mashvua. How do I know to make the word Allah that doesn't have the word shvua next to it the same level as if it had the word shvua next to it? So the shvua she'eni ma'Allah k'shvua she'yeshim Allah. Talmud lomar v'shama kol Allah v'shama Allah v'shama kol. So the verse says there by oath. It says v'shama kol Allah. You heard the person. They heard the voice of the oath. But however, it didn't have to say that. It could have just said. Yeah, the word kol is extra. It could have just said v'shama Allah. He heard the oath. V'shama kol Allah is extra to teach you that you'll be liable whether you heard it in the name of Allah or you heard it in the name of a shvua. Either one, if the person imposed a shvua with the word shvua or with the name Allah, So then either one, that's still going to be a valid oath. So basically, after all the dust settles, the Allah is also a reference to a shvuah. Rabbi Abo minayin la'Allah shehi shvuah. How do I know that is referring to a shvuah? Shenemar v'yavo ito. This is referring to now Yecheskel. It says there the word Allah v'yavo ito bris v'yavo also be'Allah. It says there that it's he made a treaty with him, and it says the word Allah there in reference to a oath. Uksiv v'gam malach Nebuchadnezzar maran asher hishbiu belokim. So, yeah, what do you see from that verse?
Rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar, he made him take an oath by God.
Well, and that's referring to Yecheskel. Sorry, it's referring to Tzidkiyahu. So I guess when Divrei Yamim is recounting that which happened earlier, it shows you that he made an oath. So that which it said earlier in the Sefer Yecheskel, referring to making it an Allah, we see later Divrei Yamim told us that it's referring to an oath. Okay. Tana, Arur Bo. So you say the word Arur Bo. So that's Nidui Bo, Klala Bo, Shvuah Bo. The word Arur can refer to excommunication. It can refer to a curse. It could refer to an oath. So it has all three of those elements inside of it. So Nidui Diksiv, it's referring to excommunication. It says in Shoftim, Oru Meros, Amar Malach Hashem, Oru Arur, Yoshveha, Kilo Bol, as Hashem Begiborim. So Oru there, Amar Malach Hashem, Oru Yoshveha, using the word Oru to curse the ones that are dwelling there. The Amar Ula Ba'arba Meya Shipore Shamte Barak Le Maros. Barak there put what he put 400 people shofet into excommunication. So there the word Oru is referring to what does Maros mean?
The residents
of I mean, just the people of Maros. But you see the word Ara is referring to Shamte. Shamte is excommunication. Bo klala dechsev elu yamdu ala klala. So when we're standing by Har Evel, Har Grizim, end of Devarim, so what does it say? It says we're standing there and we accept upon the blessings and the curses. Uksiv Arur ha'isha sheyasa pesel. It says the word Arur, that's clearly referring to a curse. So Bo Shvuah, it's referring to also an oath. How do I know? Yoshua there invokes the word Ara as referring to an oath. Says the Gemara, maybe he did both. Maybe it's not that it's referring to an oath. He did an oath. He invoked an oath and he cursed a person. So he made them make an oath and he cursed them. So says the Gemara, Ela mehacha. Learn from in Shmuel. He imposed an oath upon the whole nation. What language did he use? The word Arur. And Yehonasan didn't hear the oath that his father made. So that which his father said Arur is clearly referring to an oath. Says the Gemara, maybe he did both. He made the nation make an oath and he cursed them. So it says the Gemara, Miksiv V'Arur. It doesn't say V'Arur and he cursed them. It says just Arur. It was the curse, meaning not a curse, but it's referring to an oath. If it said V'Arur, it would mean two things, this and that. That doesn't say that. So Hashdas is Lahachi, Hasanami Loksiv V'Arur. Once you said this by this verse, the earlier verse that we tried to prove, you could say the same thing. It doesn't say that he made them make an oath and he cursed them. It just says Arur, and therefore both of them would be good to prove that the word Arur can refer to imposing an oath. Amr Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, Amen. The word Amen, Bo Shvuah, Bo Kabbalah's Dvarim, Bo Ha'amanas Dvarim. The word Amen is referring to an oath, can be referring to an oath. Kabbalah's Dvarim, the accepting of matters, or Ha'amanas Dvarim is to upkeep the words, is to what is that? Confirm. That's a good word. Hamani, thank you. Hamanta Dvarim. So Bo Shvuah, the Ksiv Amar Ta'isha by the Sota, Amen, Amen. She says Amen. Kabbalah's Devarim Desiv Arash Lo Yakim is Divrei Torah Zos, backed by the curses by Devarim. Curse is one that doesn't keep the Torah. I think some say I think it's a Taz and Shulchan Aruch says it's referring to not doing Hagba properly, doesn't uphold the Torah properly. So but it simply understood, it means that one will be cursed. And what happened? The whole nation accepted it, and they said Amen. Ha'amanos Dvarim, confirming the words it says, Amar King Yasa Hashem, Yikim Hashem as Dvarecha, and I guess there it says Amen. Yeah, Yomi Navi, Amen. King Yasa, yes, I'm confirming. King Yasa Hashem will do X, Y, and Z. So therefore we see that Amen has those three elements in it. Okay, we'll stop here.
Ashakala, you can
The Jews
get
are
your
going
breath
to see you later.
now. You can catch your breath. Ashakala.
Okay. We'll see you later, hopefully.
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 Much later.
Much later.